Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Michael Reeves, and today I want to talk to you about something incredibly important, not just for those working in marine navigation, but for anyone involved in the digital transformation of our industries. We're going to dive into the transition from S-57 to S-101, powered by the S-100 Universal Data Model. Now, you might be asking, why should I care about this? What does it mean for me? Well, let me tell you, it's more than just a technical shift. It's about the future of global navigation and data management. But like all transitions, it comes with its challenges. At its core, S-100 is about interoperability, better data sharing, and smoother collaboration across different technologies and platforms. Think of it like when railroads first connected the East Coast to the West in the 1800s. New lines were laid down to create one unified network. Today, we're doing the same with data, but this time it's on a global scale. But here's the catch. We've been using the S-57 standard for decades. It's like a trusty old map we've been navigating with, but now we're being asked to switch to something new. So, is it really worth it? Is the transition from S-57 to S-101 just about changing the way we present the data, or does it actually add value? I mean, let's look at the facts. The difference between S-57 and S-101 is mostly syntactical. It's like when someone tells you they've revamped a book cover and given it a new title, but inside, the content is exactly the same. You might get excited about the cover for a minute, but once you open the book, you realize nothing's changed. The encoding rules in S-101 might look different, but in the end, the data itself, the core information we rely on, isn't all that different. It's a bit like putting a modern twist on an old recipe. You change the presentation, but the ingredients are the same. And this is where the skepticism comes in. And listen to what Emily Collins and Lucas Harrington say about this in their recent podcast. They dive deep into these issues and question whether the transition is genuinely improving things or if it's just a rebranding exercise. They raise some important points that we should all think about. Of course, I'll leave the link to their podcast in the description below. Not many people think about these things, but we all should.
Comparing S-101 to S-57.
Yeah, with a ton of detail.
Head-spinning stuff.
We're talking new objects, modified attributes, different geometry.
A whole new language.
It really is.
For nautical charts.
And that's where the so what question comes in.
Because it's not just like a cosmetic makeover, right?
Right, it's not just a new coat of paint.
This is about how the data is structured.
Which affects how it's used, how it's interpreted.
And the geophone group.
Yeah, the folks behind this document.
They build systems that use this data.
They're in the thick of it.
So there's skepticism.
It really jumps out at you.
They're questioning whether these changes genuinely improve things.
Or if it's just a different way of writing the same information.
Like changing the font.
Haha, exactly.
Yeah.
Changing the font in a document. Okay.
And the geophone group. They estimate that transitioning to S-100
could add, what, like 10%?
Try 200-300% on top of that.
Whoa, are you serious?
Over the next 5 years?
That's potentially tripling, quadrupling their software costs.
Mind-boggling.
And who pays for that ultimately?
Likely taxpayer.
Now, let's take a step back and think about the bigger picture. When we talk about the transition to S-101, we're also talking about resources. Something that many hydrographic offices simply don't have in abundance. It's no secret that the marine cartographic industry is still operating under a very traditional, manual system. Much like how the printing press changed the way we communicated in the 15th century, technology today is expected to revolutionize how we handle data. But in this case, the costs and complexity are significant. You see, nearly every HO I've talked to says the same thing. They don't have the budget for extra data production, they don't have the manpower to keep up with new requirements, and even with the best technology, they're still stuck with the same old manual processes. So what's the solution? How can we overcome this challenge without bankrupting the entire industry? The answer is simple: automation. Just like how the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century introduced machines to do what humans had been doing by hand, Automation today can take over repetitive tasks and free up human resources for more strategic work. If you don't have the manpower, automation can help you cope with the growing demands and requirements of new standards like S-100 and S-101. But here's the thing. Automation alone isn't enough. It's like building a car without a road to drive it on. Sure, the car might be amazing, but if there's no infrastructure to support it, it's going to be stuck in the garage. That's why we need to address the bigger issues of data quality and standardization before we can move forward. In fact, the main issue we faced is that even if the format changes, the data inside the formats remains flawed. We're still dealing with discrepancies, incorrect or missing bathymetric data, and unsynchronized charts across different sources. So what's the point of switching to a new format like S-101 when the same old problems still exist? And this is the part that really worries me. Sure, we can implement S-100, and sure, we can make the data look better. But if the quality isn't there, if the data isn't accurate, it's just a shiny new wrapper on a box that's still filled with problems. So we must focus on solving the real issues first before jumping into new formats or new rules. That's why I believe that focusing on automation and addressing data quality first is the key. It's the foundation upon which the rest of this transition can be built. Without solving these issues, everything else is just a distraction. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a weak foundation. Sooner or later, it's going to crumble. So, now that we've touched on the core concepts of the transition from S-57 to S-101, let's look at how dKart evolution fits into this puzzle. At the heart of dKart evolution are two key modules, TOKENIZER and DELTA. TOKENIZER plays a crucial role in converting data from one format to another, allowing for smooth transitions between S-57, S-101, and beyond. It's like a bridge, making sure that data doesn't get lost or corrupted when moving from one system to another. By standardizing data into tokens, it simplifies complex processes and enhances interoperability. And of course, TOKENIZER is designed to work with the open, human-readable format of the S-100 Universal Data Model, making it accessible and easy to use for everyone in the field. Now, once the data is converted, the DELTA module steps in. DELTA is where the magic happens. It ensures that the converted data remains up to date and consistent. It's responsible for identifying discrepancies and generating corrections in both S-57 and S-101 formats, all while using advanced AI to streamline the process. DELTA guarantees that once data is transitioned, it stays relevant and accurate, allowing hydrographic offices, HOs, to keep their charts in tip-top shape. These two powerful modules, TOKENIZER and DELTA, are essential in making the complex transition to S-100 and S-101 much simpler, more efficient, and far less resource-intensive. So whether you're working with legacy data or adopting the latest standards, dKart Evolution provides a comprehensive, automated solution to ensure that you're always ahead of the curve. So as we move forward, let's remember that technology can only do so much. The real change happens when we address the core issues, the quality of our data, the automation of our processes, and the clarity of the standards we rely on. This is how we truly move forward. And don't forget to check out the podcast from Emily Collins and Lucas Harrington. They raise some important points that really put all of this into perspective. I'll leave the link in the description below, and make sure you subscribe for more insights on the future of navigation and hydrography.